The rooftop glows like a curated dream, glass walls reflecting the city lights, candles flickering on linen-covered tables, laughter floating effortlessly through the air. Daniel stands just outside the center of it all, holding a drink that has long since gone warm. This is Emily's world tonight. Her co-workers, her confidence, her ease. She moves through the room like she belongs to something bigger than him now. Her laughter louder, freer, almost rehearsed. Daniel watches her from a distance, telling himself this is normal, that marriages evolve, that success changes people. Still, a quiet unease crawls beneath his ribs. He feels overdressed and underseen, like a guest who arrived without an invitation. Every smile Emily gives someone else lands heavier than it should. He senses a shift he can't name yet, a subtle wrongness in the air, as if the night is holding its breath, waiting for something cruel to be said out loud. Marcus Reed approaches with the confidence of someone who has never doubted his place in a room. His suit is tailored, his smile effortless, his presence immediately dominant. The handshake feels firm, territorial. At first, Daniel relaxes, grateful for normal conversation, until Marcus tilts his head and delivers the sentence that rewrites the night. "Oh, you're her ex." The words land softly, almost politely, yet they explode inside Daniel's chest. For a split second, Daniel assumes it's a joke, some misunderstanding he can easily correct. "I'm her husband," he says, forcing a laugh that sounds hollow even to him. Marcus doesn't apologize. He doesn't look embarrassed. Instead, his smile sharpens, predatory and certain. "That's not what she said." In that moment, the party continues, but Daniel doesn't. His sense of self fractures, replaced by a nauseating awareness that he may already be written out of his own marriage. The room grows distant, as if someone turned the volume knob down on Daniel's life. Laughter becomes muffled noise, faces blur, and all he can hear is the echo of Marcus's words repeating inside his skull. Images begin to surface uninvited. Emily coming home late, her phone flipped face down, the way she spoke about work with rehearsed exhaustion, the promotions that arrived too easily. Daniel tells himself coincidence is not evidence, but his body already knows the truth. Then he looks across the room. Emily's eyes meet Marcus's for half a second, just long enough. No smile. No surprise. Just recognition. She looks away immediately, too quickly, like someone caught stepping over a line they hoped no one noticed. That moment confirms everything Marcus didn't have to say. Daniel understands, with devastating clarity, that his life has split cleanly into two parts. Before this glance, and everything that will come after it. Daniel Harper grew up in a home where calm always outweighed passion. Conflict was dangerous, so he learned early to swallow his frustrations, to smooth over arguments with quiet compliance. This instinct shaped him into a man who prized stability above all else, predictable routines, secure jobs, and reliable behavior. He became a systems analyst, a career that rewards precision, order, and consistency, but rarely inspires admiration. In life, Daniel built structures, not excitement. He believed that his dependability, showing up, paying bills on time, listening, being there, would be enough to earn love. He never understood that love can demand more than reliability. It thrives on emotional presence, spontaneity, and attention to subtle desires. This flaw, invisible yet critical, laid the groundwork for Emily's eventual emotional drift. While Daniel prided himself on being steady, he never realized that his very stability, once comforting, had become a cage that suffocated the intimacy he thought he had secured. When Daniel met Emily, she was a bundle of insecurities and uncertainty, a woman unsure of herself or her future. Daniel became her anchor, quietly supporting her ambitions, paying rent when she was struggling, listening when the world seemed to overwhelm her. Their early years were full of hope, shared dreams, and subtle acts of devotion. But success changes people. Emily's transformation was gradual but relentless. She gained corporate confidence, adorned herself in designer clothes, and carried a self-assured voice that no longer asked, it commanded. Their marriage, once balanced by shared struggle and mutual growth, now teetered on uneven ground. Daniel's quiet reliability was no longer enough to match Emily's evolved ambitions. Conversations once rich with curiosity and intimacy became transactional logistics, and intimacy became a rare afterthought. The woman who had leaned on him now stood tall above him, unconsciously highlighting all the ways his quiet devotion could not compete with her ascendant world. The party was the final mirror showing Daniel exactly where he stood, invisible, replaced, and outmatched. At home, the gap between them widens. Emily arrives late, casually ignoring his presence, her energy spent elsewhere. Daniel stares at the empty living room, absorbing the silence that has grown heavier than any argument. The absence of words is deafening. No apology, no small talk, no warmth. Supporting characters hover in the background of his memories. Marcus, with charisma and calculated charm, carving his way into Emily's life. Rachel, who smiles knowingly, hinting at truths she won't voice. Jason, his blunt but loyal friend, the only one left who sees the fracture forming. Daniel feels replaced not just romantically but socially and economically. A man outpaced by the world he helped build for someone else. The silence between him and Emily is no longer empty. It is a verdict, echoing the transformation he cannot stop and a life he no longer controls. Daniel finally gathers the courage to confront Emily about Marcus. He chooses his words carefully, his tone even but tinged with the anxiety he can no longer suppress. He wants clarity, a chance to understand the shift in their marriage, to confirm or dispel the gnawing doubts that have haunted him since the party. Emily, however, responds with practiced ease. She laughs lightly, a sound that is meant to charm but lands like a blade. "You're being insecure," she says, her voice carrying both dismissal and superiority. The subtle smirk on her face suggests she's done this before, or at least knows how to deflect. In that moment, Daniel begins to feel the first real weight of gaslighting. His instincts, previously trusted, are suddenly questioned. He wonders if he's overreacting, if his perception is flawed, and yet, deep down, he knows the truth is creeping closer, unmasked and unavoidable. The accidental discovery changes everything. Daniel, curious and desperate for truth, stumbles upon deleted messages recovered from a shared cloud account. Each message is a silent knife. Intimate jokes, emotional language, subtle complaints about Daniel's reliability, and shared moments that never included him. Though there is no physical affair, the emotional intimacy Marcus occupies cuts deeper than any physical betrayal might. Daniel reads each line over and over, his chest tightening with a mixture of shock, grief, and rage. Every message confirms what he feared. Emily's mind, heart, and humor have been quietly shared with someone else. His perception of their life together, the late nights, the routine, the emotional distance, suddenly crystallizes. He realizes that for months, perhaps years, he has been sidelined, replaced not in body but in essence, his emotional presence undervalued and dismissed while Marcus became the confidant, the listener, the man Emily turns to for the understanding Daniel no longer provides. The confrontation reaches its breaking point when Emily finally verbalizes what Daniel feared but could not name. "I needed someone who understands the world I'm in now," she says, a declaration that cuts deeper than any physical act. Her words confirm the end of their marriage, not with violence or shouting, but with cold, unyielding clarity. Daniel feels the fragility of his position magnify. Emily now controls finances, the social narrative, and the emotional framing of their life together. He sees for the first time the full legal and practical consequences of passivity. If he does nothing, divorce could leave him financially ruined, socially sidelined, and emotionally hollow. For the first time, Daniel refuses to apologize for his feelings, his presence, or his attempts to preserve their bond. Sitting alone in his car at night, he inhales sharply, finally embracing anger as power, a shift from a man conditioned to accept blame to one poised to reclaim agency over his fractured life. As the days unfold, Emily's carefully curated charm begins to crack. The warmth that once lured Daniel in now feels cold and calculated. Conversations with her carry hidden barbs, subtle manipulations designed to undermine his confidence. She frames every disagreement as a flaw in him, a failure to keep pace with her elevated life, her ambitions, her social orbit. Daniel begins to feel the weight of constant scrutiny. His words are dissected, his choices questioned, his presence tolerated at best. Small cruelties, like dismissive glances or ironic laughs, accumulate, each one eroding his sense of belonging in a life he once considered shared. He notices how effortlessly Emily navigates the world now, a world he built alongside her, yet she frames him as obsolete, irrelevant, a man clinging to stability while she soars. The betrayal cuts not just at the heart but at the soul, leaving Daniel exposed, isolated, and questioning his value as both a husband and a man. Marcus's presence begins to infiltrate every corner of Daniel's life. Professional setbacks that once seemed random now appear orchestrated. At work, Daniel notices subtle undermining. Meetings scheduled without him, ideas credited to others, whispered comments suggesting incompetence. The once stable systems analyst feels increasingly replaceable, a pawn in Marcus's meticulously constructed game. Marcus's charisma and power make him untouchable. Daniel feels the shadow of his influence everywhere he turns. Even colleagues who were friendly start keeping distance. wary of offending the invisible authority that Marcus represents. The emotional toll is immense: sleepless nights, self-doubt, and creeping anxiety. Daniel begins to see the full spectrum of Emily and Marcus's coordinated manipulation, and the realization stings. His life, his career, and his emotional well-being are being systematically reshaped without his consent. He senses that if he remains passive, the man who undermined him and the woman who abandoned him will erase him completely. Cornered yet determined, Daniel begins reclaiming his agency. Therapy sessions force him to confront years of self-erasure, the tendency to apologize for existing, to prioritize others' comfort over his own. Legal consultations illuminate the financial and strategic realities, the need for preparation, foresight, and boundaries. Slowly, Daniel cultivates an emotional awakening, understanding that love without limits can become self-destruction, that silence enables erasure. He no longer seeks revenge, nor does he crave humiliation for Emily or Marcus. What he wants is truth, clarity, and a sense of self unclouded by betrayal. The transformation crystallizes when Emily serves him divorce papers, smirking as if she has already triumphed. Daniel doesn't react with fear or anger. Instead, he feels a strange calm, recognition that while she may believe she has won, the real power lies in awareness, preparation, and the reclamation of his own identity. The stage is set for the next act of confrontation and personal assertion. The corporate gala sparkles with chandeliers, polished suits, and the hum of networking professionals, a night meant for celebration. Daniel enters, calm yet resolute, carrying not just himself but months of preparation, documentation, and evidence. The room buzzes with chatter until subtle murmurs begin to ripple as he unveils the truth. Screens flicker, projectors hum, and legal documents appear, revealing Marcus's manipulations, falsified performance reviews, altered emails, and orchestrated professional setbacks. Colleagues who once seemed neutral or friendly now watch in stunned silence. Even Emily, radiant just moments ago, freezes mid-smile as the realization dawns. She too has been a pawn, her trust weaponized by a man who never intended love. The public exposure does more than humiliate. It rewrites the power dynamic in real time. Daniel, once invisible, now holds the undeniable authority. Every whispered doubt, every subtle humiliation Marcus inflicted, collapses under the weight of truth, leaving the manipulators exposed before their peers. As the room absorbs the revelations, the deeper twist emerges. Marcus, who projected charisma, dominance, and emotional sophistication, is revealed as calculating and hollow. He never loved Emily. She was a ladder, a means to an end in his climb for power and control. The evidence uncovers subtle manipulations designed to isolate and exploit her, as well as Daniel, leaving everyone who relied on him vulnerable. Emily's initial shock gives way to anger and regret, realizing that she too was deceived, ensnared by ambition masquerading as affection. Daniel, witnessing this, feels a complex mix of vindication and empathy. He was wronged, yes, but so was she. The public now understands the full scope of Marcus' betrayal. Power shifts decisively as the manipulator's veneer crumbles, leaving them exposed, vulnerable, and accountable, while Daniel's quiet strength and preparation stand in sharp contrast to their calculated arrogance. With the truth laid bare, Daniel steps forward, not shouting, not demanding attention, but speaking with clarity and calm authority. His voice carries across the room, measured and deliberate, every word resonating with conviction. He addresses not just the deception but the emotional stakes, the betrayal, manipulation, and courage required to reclaim agency. Emily, once poised and untouchable, now stands silent, confronted with her choices and the reality of her exploitation. There is no dramatic collapse, no loud accusation, just the stark contrast between Daniel's reclaimed dignity and the hollow victory Marcus once imagined. As Daniel walks away from the room, he carries no bitterness, no shattered self. He is whole, aware, and free. The audience witnesses not revenge but justice and personal liberation. In that quiet triumph, Daniel transforms from a man erased to a man empowered, leaving behind a marriage, a manipulator, and a chapter defined by betrayal, stepping into life on his own terms. In the weeks following the exposure, Daniel approaches the legal process with patience and resolve. He no longer reacts emotionally. Instead, he negotiates thoughtfully, ensuring that fairness guides every decision. Emily, once untouchable in her confidence, now confronts the tangible consequences of her choices. Her social standing wavers slightly, and the financial security she assumed was untouchable is recalibrated by the law and Daniel's preparedness. There is no public spectacle, no dramatic courtroom drama, but the resolution is definitive. Daniel's clarity and calm force recognition from both the legal system and Emily herself. Betrayal carries responsibility. As the settlement is finalized, Daniel feels a quiet satisfaction, not rooted in revenge, but in justice and equilibrium. The emotional balance he restores isn't flashy or vengeful, it's subtle and profound, a reflection of years of learning to prioritize boundaries, honesty, and self-respect, marking the beginning of a new chapter defined by dignity and autonomy. Once the legal matters are settled, Daniel turns inward, investing energy into rebuilding the man he had quietly lost to years of accommodation. Therapy sessions provide perspective, guiding him to confront the patterns that allowed emotional erasure. He rediscovers passions, hobbies, and ambitions that were long set aside in favor of stability. Slowly, confidence blooms, not the brash kind that demands attention, but a quiet strength rooted in self-respect. Colleagues and friends notice a subtle change. Daniel's presence commands attention without effort, his voice clear, his boundaries firm. He reconnects with Jason, his longtime friend, and they share conversations full of candor and laughter, the small joys of genuine connection re-establishing his sense of belonging. Through daily routines, professional dedication, and emotional introspection, Daniel cultivates a life not defined by betrayal or loss, but by resilience and self-awareness, a life where his identity is reclaimed, unshaken by the manipulations of others. Months later, Daniel's life has stabilized into a rhythm of quiet strength. He doesn't seek public validation or dramatize his journey. The power lies in his composed presence. Emily has faded from the daily fabric of his life, her absence no longer painful, her choices acknowledged as lessons rather than wounds. Daniel has learned that victory does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers in the comfort of personal integrity, in the ability to face mornings with calm certainty, in the knowledge that his worth is self-determined. Friends, colleagues, and even casual acquaintances sense a new magnetism about him, the subtle aura of someone who has endured and emerged intact. He no longer fears silence or isolation, for he is filled both with purpose and self-respect. Life continues, not perfectly, not dramatically, but with the assurance that Daniel is whole, capable, and free, finally inhabiting the emotional space he always deserved. Months have passed, and Daniel's life has settled into a rhythm defined by introspection and calm resilience. The apartment he once shared with Emily feels like a sanctuary now, a space of his own rather than a reminder of betrayal. The sunlight filters softly through tall windows, casting golden streaks across neat furniture and minimalistic decor. Daniel sits on the edge of his sofa, coffee cup in hand, absorbing the silence that was once suffocating but now feels liberating. Every object, every corner of the apartment tells a story of survival, growth, and reclamation. The memories of chaos, deception, and emotional manipulation linger only as faint echoes, no longer capable of dominating his thoughts. Daniel breathes deeply, aware of how far he has come, not in material victories, not in revenge, but in the reclamation of his inner life, a quiet power that neither Emily nor Marcus could ever touch. In a small, deliberate gesture, Daniel reaches for an old photo of him and Emily, one that once symbolized love and shared dreams. His fingers linger on it for a moment, memories rushing through his mind, laughter, quiet moments, and the years of unnoticed devotion. Then, with a gentle exhale, he deletes it from his phone. There is no bitterness, no pang of regret, only acceptance. It's a symbolic act, a closing of a chapter that defined him but did not destroy him. The deletion is quiet, almost ceremonial, an acknowledgement that the past belongs in memory, not in the life he now chooses to live. Daniel smiles softly, a smile born of relief, clarity, and self-possession. In that moment, he feels the weight of silence lift, replaced by a steady heartbeat of autonomy, a life measured by his choices, not by the betrayals he endured. Freedom, he realizes, is quiet and persistent. Daniel leans back, letting the apartment absorb his presence, savoring the peace that was once unimaginable. The journey from betrayal to self-realization culminates not in a dramatic triumph but in this understated moment of empowerment. The final thought crystallizes clearly: I didn't lose my wife. I found my voice. It is not a declaration of bitterness but of discovery, a recognition that the person he was silenced by years of accommodation has emerged fully and unafraid. His voice, once drowned by doubt, gaslighting, and quiet submission, now resonates with authority, self-respect, and clarity. The audience witnesses a man who has endured emotional devastation, faced manipulation and betrayal, and emerged intact, defined not by loss but by inner strength. In this quiet victory, Daniel embodies the subtle power of self-possession, leaving viewers with a reflective, emotionally satisfying conclusion, a reminder that the truest triumph is finding one's own voice.